And we're live, back again with another episode of Around the Mat. It is your host, Conscious Keelan. We've got a smaller crew today. We're missing one, but that's okay. We're gonna talk about some fun stuff. PGF is on the schedule. Fury Pro Grappling. Who's number one? Dana White versus Jake Paul. That's a big news story right now. We're gonna talk about some fun stuff. If this is your first time joining, we're gonna play a game. I'm just going to ask for their opinions on some topics in the grappling scene right now, and they'll get points that'll sound like this, or they will lose points, and that will sound like this. So let's get right into it. Introducing first the returning champion. He won last week. No,
two in a row.
Oh, two in a row. Two in a row. It's the man, the myth, the legend, Brandon McCatherine.
Greetings, citizens.
Yay. We also have joining us our resident expert, 10th Planet Black Belt, Matt Skaff.
What's up, guys? I'm slowly getting better camera angles.
No.
1 inch at a time.
Yeah.
And we also
I'm
have
almost
joining us
squared up.
for the first time on Around the Mat. We have an active jiu-jitsu competitor, brown belt on the scene, Kamoy Anderson.
What's going on?
All right, boys. Let's roll right into it. We've got a couple topics. Do y'all want to talk about anything in particular first?
Let's go into Jake Paul versus Dana White.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Who's winning the online trolling? Is Jake Paul winning or is Dana winning?
Jake's winning. I mean, is Jake going to get what he wants out of this? Probably not. But he's making really interesting pro wrestling moves, I think. You know, like he knows how to grab the mic when the time is right. He knows how to stoke a fire. He knows how to get attention on his words. So from a long-term branding perspective, I think he's winning. Is he going to actually get what he wants out of this negotiation and this exchange with Dana? Almost certainly the answer is no. But I think Jake is setting himself up to be a player on the MMA scene as he becomes more experienced. You know, the longer the trash talk goes, the more valuable it's going to be when he finally does get an MMA fight or a fight with say like a Conor McGregor or something like that, which I think is a real possibility. I totally think it's possible we'll see him versus Conor McGregor.
Skaff, does Jake Paul ever fight in MMA?
Yeah, I actually think he does, but I think it's going to be with maybe a co-promotion with like Eagle FC. So, you know, with maybe Khabib. Yeah. It's definitely not going to be with Dana White. We see Dana White, we've seen how petty Dana can be over the years. If Dana does not like you, Dana will do everything in his power to make sure you do not succeed. And he's definitely not going to promote you on one of his shows. Now, the thing is, like, who's winning? I actually think Dana's kind of winning this just because Dana's come out, you know, and he's making fun of the pay-per-view numbers that Jake's done, which I think, and I hear it, most people are illegally streaming the Jake Paul thing, but it's still kind of funny to see his actual pay-per-view numbers.
What was the actual number?
I mean, it was pathetic, man. I mean, Dana was claiming
like
that
65,000, right?
Something like that. Yeah, that's what Dana was claiming. And then Jake, of course, came out and was like, no, our numbers are amazing. But I don't know. To me, that was the biggest hit. I mean, that was a haymaker. Like, dude, 65,000 pay-per-views. I mean, that's nothing in the realm of pay-per-view sports. So, I mean, between that and, you know, Dana coming out and I don't know, man. I think what Jake's doing is interesting. He's one of the most interesting fight figures in the game today, but I just think he's barking up the wrong tree, trying to fight guys. Like, he needs to like get beefs with active fighters. I don't want to see him get beefs. Like, he's trying to get beef with dudes that don't even fight. Like, I don't care about that.
Kemoy, does Jake actually stand a chance in an MMA fight?
Does he stand a chance? I feel like with the right opponent, anybody could stand a chance because Jake, he knows how to box. He got wrestling experience. With the right amount of training, with the right time, if he takes it seriously, yeah, he would stand a chance with the right opponent. Can't just throw him in there with a top 10, top not even the top 15. But yeah, but I don't see him ever fighting in the UFC though. I don't see Dana White entertaining something like that.
So, who do you guys think should be his next matchup, whether it's in boxing or MMA?
Well, the next matchup's definitely going to be boxing. Let me say this though. I disagree with what Kemoy said at the very end. Like, I do think that we'll see him in the UFC eventually. Like, we were never going to see Brock Lesnar. We were never going to see Brock Lesnar.
Oh, Ben.
We were never going to see CM Punk. We were never going to see Ben Askren.
Yeah,
you know.
But how many of those guys was beefing with Dana White or calling him a cokehead?
Ben Askren was beefing with Dana White hard, way harder than Jake Paul.
It was fun beef.
No, they hated each other, dude. Like, they had a very public dislike and distaste for one another. So I don't know. I think it's possible. Now, I don't think that's necessary. Like I said, I don't think that's something that is in the cards in the next even maybe year or two. But if he keeps playing this thing the way he's playing it right now, I do. Like, I actually 100% believe that we'll see Jake Paul in the UFC. What is he going to do next, though? It's not going to be MMA. He's got a long journey in front of him if he wants to actually turn this into an MMA career or even a piece of his career into MMA. So, I mean, we saw Brock Lesnar came in with a wrestling background, and he started training and taking it very seriously. He dedicated his life to MMA, and we saw what he could do. But, he never looked like a technician. You know what I mean? And then we saw what happens when a guy like CM Punk says, well, I'll just give it a whirl. Dude, you can't just give it a whirl. Like, you got to get in there. You got to drink the whole thing. You got to just take the whole dose of medicine. And that's what Jake Paul's going to have to do if he wants to make it into the UFC and actually have people care about watching him fight. It's like, we were all pumped to see CM Punk initially, but once we saw him fight one time, nobody cared again. Like, that was it. It was over. But once we saw Brock Lesnar fight, we went, oh, okay. He lost to Frank Mir, but I can't wait to see him again. Like, Brock lost his debut in the UFC. He got knee barred by Frank Mir pretty easily, pretty quickly. But we saw, okay, if this dude is taking this seriously, this is going to be a real problem. So I do think that we'll see Jake Paul. His next thing is going to be boxing, though, for sure. He's going to have to, and I agree with you, we're going to have to see him step up the caliber of opponents he's facing. Here's the issue I got, though, with that is nobody knows, like, oh, he's got to fight a name in boxing. Well, give me a name. Like, do we know it? No, but I'm saying, like, boxing, there are no names. If they're not the champion, there's no names to fight. So it doesn't make sense for him to go and call out the number 6 boxer in his weight class in the world, because literally no one on this broadcast or anybody watching can tell you who that is. You can't create a name out of thin air that'll make it an exciting match. Nobody knows who boxers are. I
liked the Tommy Fury fight. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, but Tommy Fury didn't like it, so he pulled out. He didn't love it.
I hear you, but I like that fight. I mean, I think that was an interesting fight. You've got the probably the scariest boxer the heavyweight division has seen for a few, 10, 15 years. I mean, Tyson Fury is a monster. Getting the little brother in there that's got, a pro, at least he's a professional boxer. At least he's an actual boxer.
Dude, is he a boxer if he doesn't show up to box?
But I think he's going to go back into the MMA realm. He's looking for MMA opponents. I think he just sees that that's the easiest way for him to make a name for himself. It's like Brandon said, unless he's fighting Canelo Alvarez or Triple G or somebody like that, which his team, I mean, he is many years away from that fight. He's at least
no way.
He's at least 3, 4, 5 years away from even attempting that. So I think he's going to go MMA. I mean, Masvidal wants to do it. I think Masvidal, but the UFC is not going to let Masvidal. If the UFC is not going to let any of their guys fight him, then I think he's going to really have trouble finding somebody that's interesting.
No, Kemoy.
I think the problem with the Tommy Fury fight is nobody cared about that fight.
Exactly.
There was no real media. The MMA media wasn't pushing it. Nobody cared. As soon as Woodley came back on, that's when it was all eyes on it. Now people started caring a little
Agree.
bit. So I think he don't just need any fight. He need a fight with the right dance partner. Somebody that's gonna push the fight like he pushing the fight. Somebody that people also care about. Because at the end of the day, it's entertainment. We don't really care about Jake Paul's skills. We care about the nonsense that's going on. We want to see Jake Paul get win again. We want to see somebody get knock him out. That's what it's coming down to now.
I mean, Jake Paul, Masvidal. I mean, Anderson Silva's the move. That would be incredible.
That would be a great play. Because if he knocked Anderson Silva out or hurt him, even if he just hurt him 2 or 3 times through the course of a 10-round fight, listen, you can't deny the kid that. I mean, and Anderson Silva knows how to box too. He just beat Cesar Chavez, right?
Yeah, he looked.
I mean, I know.
Too.
Look, he beat the old man retired version of Julio Cesar Chavez, but come on, dude, that's the old man retired version of Anderson Silva.
Yeah, Anderson's old. He's like 46, 47.
I'll watch Anderson Silva box. Anybody.
He also slept Tito in the first round.
True story.
Yeah, very recent. All right. Let's see. Anything else for Jake and Dana?
I think Jake's got a path to MMA. It just may not be in the UFC. Not immediately at least. But if he wanted to take a fight in Bellator right now, I guarantee you Scotty Coker would do business with him.
He's already said he would.
Did he?
He invited him.
Oh, guarantee. And listen, man, Bellator may not be the UFC talent-wise, but they're the number 2. They may
Dylan
not be the
Dennis
UFC
versus Jake Paul.
promotion-wise. No. Nobody cares about Dylan Dennis, dude.
I'm just saying, Dylan Dennis versus Jake Paul. Who wins?
Like,
MMA.
I think Jake Paul wins.
That's I'm asking.
I think he beat. I don't think it. Dylan. I mean, if
MMA,
you think, MMA.
I think. I don't know, man. There's a big size difference there. That's a huge size difference.
No, not really. Dylan did 88 kg for the last ADCC, the last couple of ADCCs. He was in Gordon's division.
Isn't Jake like 200 pounds?
I mean, that's what 88 kg basically is, 193.
Okay. I was thinking Dylan was smaller than Conor.
No, Dylan's pretty big, dude. No, Dylan's bigger than Conor.
Okay. No, you're right. I mean, he went up against Gordon.
Yeah.
So I guess he was an 88.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still going to vote with Jake Paul, dude. I think Jake Paul puts that big old right hand on him. Dude, he turned Tyron Woodley's life upside down. He changed the course of Tyron Woodley's life and legacy. Like, that's a powerful right hand. Anybody, and if you're out there and you think that was a fixed fight, I want you to unsubscribe from this channel. Stop following me on social media because you're an idiot. You're a total idiot if you actually think that. You have no business following anybody who talks about fighting. Anybody. You need to just quit the internet forever. That is such a stupid opinion.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Let's move on down the list. We got Kamoy Anderson here today. So why don't we talk about who's number 1? Big card coming up. I'll pull it up so you can see it, Brandon. Boom.
Let me move my shades here. Oh, almost broke them.
Main event is Craig Jones versus Pedro Mourinho.
I like that one. I think that's a good move for who's number 1 and 2. I think it's a good move for Craig. We've been seeing, I mean, obviously his last match that he had with on Fury Grappling.
Sean Brady.
Sean Brady. That didn't really go his way. Obviously the decision didn't go his way, but more importantly, it didn't go the fans' way. Now I'm a big fan of Craig, especially like Craig to hang out with and spend time with, to hear him do his promos and his social media. I love what he's doing, right? He can lay a stinker sometimes though. Like that's not the first time he's come out and been basically inactive from the bottom of Z and Butterfly for the whole match. It's not the first time we've seen him do it. We saw it happen with Mateus Diniz. Skaff, who was the other big one, the real big stinker that he had?
Oh, well, his last match, or one of his last matches against, the ADCC champion. Oh, my God. The guy that did the flying arm bar, to Lucas Lepre.
Davi Ramos.
Yeah, Davi Ramos. Yeah. That match was was terrible.
Yeah, that was a snoozer. He had another snoozer against Rotolo. You know, it wasn't as bad because it was so anticipated, but that wasn't a great match either. So as much as I love Craig, and I do, I'm a giant Craig Jones fan, so don't get it twisted. But sometimes he'll come out and lay a stinker. I like this matchup because Pedro Mourinho is not going to let him do that. Pedro's going to come out and attack and push the pace. And I know Craig's probably going to be the favorite coming in, but I can definitely see a world where Pedro gets his hand raised at the end of this thing.
Skaff, who are you most excited about on that card? We got Craig Jones, Ty Rotolo, Kemoy, Jacob Couch, Brianna St. Marie, etc. Who are you most excited about?
You know, honestly, I'm a huge fan of Brianna St. Marie, dude. I just am a huge fan. I think she's the hottest thing in grappling right now. She is a finisher. She is sick. I mean, she's just disgusting. You know, obviously you got Ty Rotolo in there going for a championship. I love a lot of these matches, but man, Tubby versus Brianna St. Marie, and I think it's like a big step up in competition because Brianna hasn't been like she's been dominating everybody, but she hasn't faced like a world-class black belt. And Tubby has been on the Who's Number One stage before. Tubby's one of the best females at that weight, but I think it's going to be a pretty dominant win for Brianna St. Marie. So I cannot wait for Brianna to go out there and showcase her skills against a world-class black belt.
Kemoy, talk a little bit about your match and how you're feeling leading into it.
I'm going against a Penn State wrestler named Gino. He's a blue belt, but as you know, you've been paying attention to the no-gi scene. These belt levels don't even matter no more. He's the top guy. He won no-gi worlds as blue belt. He did well in the ADCC trials, East Coast. I think it's gonna be a good match. Everybody's expecting this big wrestling match. Let's throw two guys in there that can wrestle, but it's not gonna be a wrestling match. We going in there and we gonna do jiu-jitsu. But I think it's gonna be a good match. I think it's probably gonna be fast-paced. I'm looking to go out there. I'm looking to finish. This is my big opportunity on a big promotion, and I'm looking to make a name for myself.
Well, you've got more weapons for sure. Gino's just I've watched a lot of Gino Morelli. Gino's got a great Dars. The Dars has been how he's finished everybody. He actually just got his purple belt. So he got promoted after, I think, a couple of weeks ago. But anyways, he's got a Dars choke, and his Dars is really good. But what's really interesting is that the match he lost in ADCC, he lost by a funky reverse triangle. And it made me think of you because I was like, oh, snap, like, you know, Kemoy is known for hitting crazy triangle variations. And so I think it's a perfect matchup. You know, I think that match is going to be fireworks. I'm very excited for it.
Right. Real good matchup.
I think Kemoy's going to lose. He's going to get subbed in the first 45 seconds. I'm just kidding. Don't hurt me, dude. I was just playing.
That was supposed to be a poop.
Oh, well, you know, it worked out.
He lost a point for that one.
Hey, come on, man. See, when you the double champ, they got to take them away from you however they can.
Yeah, you earn it.
I want to talk about another matchup on that card, though, before we move on. Actually, a couple of these matchups. Look at this, dude. Ty Rotolo versus Levi Jones Leary.
Oh, yeah. No, dude.
That's going to be a great, fun. It's going to be a fun match to watch, though. I agree with you. Rotolo's going to win it. But, man, that's going to be fun to watch. But here's the one I'm most excited about, to be honest with you. Right here. Look. Nick Rodriguez versus Elder Cruz.
Yeah. Oh, no. That's
a good one, dude.
Incredible matchup. You know, a lot of people don't realize about Elder Cruz. I mean, Elder wrestled against Kyle Snyder, like took Kyle Snyder down in a match. Like Elder is legit. He's real. And he's been killing it. He's won everything. He's Jacob Couch's like, I mean, he's beaten Jacob Couch pretty much every time they've had a match. I think Jacob's got one on him, but Elder's got like 4 or 5 victories on Jacob. And Elder's looking to come out. I mean, I just think that's the perfect matchup. I'm super excited for that match. But Nicky Rod, how he looked at Fury.
He's too much, man.
Dude, he is a freak. His body lock passing to the back. And when he gets that back, dude, you are getting your head ripped off. It's too much, man.
I feel like Nicky Rod is the unsung or maybe the uncrowned champion of his weight class in a lot of ways. Like, yeah, he gets a lot of love, but I don't know that he gets as much love as he deserves. Like, if you're talking about who is going to win a match, like I got this one matchup right here, and it's anybody versus Nicky Rod. Nicky Rod can win that match. You know, even if you start running the name Gordon Ryan out there, I think Nicky Rod in the right rule set can beat Gordon, even in the ADCC rule set. So, plus Nicky's fun to watch. We got that rivalry set up between him or his camp and the New Wave camp now. So I like the narrative that's coming out of there, and I like how Nicky Rod started out as the heel, but he's because of the split from Gordon, he's turned into the baby face. So now we see him kind of becoming the good guy. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's just a really interesting the way the narrative has shifted, and I think that matchup's a big. I don't want to say coming out party because everybody knows about Nicky Rod already, but I think there's going to be some extra respect put on his name after that.
So y'all talked a little bit about the Fury Pro grappling, Craig and Nicky. Let's jump into that one. We had a bunch of UFC fighters doing grappling matches. Did y'all have any favorite matches from that? What'd y'all think about Craig Jones losing? Let's hear it.
I think the problem with the whole Craig Jones thing is Craig Jones, his avenue of victory is the leg locks. That's his thing. But we gotta ask ourselves, what happens when you can't get a leg lock? What are you gonna do? And that's exactly what happened on Fury. Craig Jones couldn't get under his opponent. He couldn't elevate. He couldn't get the leg lock. And the guy was just trying to smash through. I seen it come. I knew he was gonna get the decision win because Craig was just on his back while his opponent was just trying to pass. So I see the Pedro match going similar. I see Craig can get under Pedro, and Pedro just trying to smash through, maybe eventually get a pass. Craig maybe recovers and still trying to chase the leg lock. So I kind of see that happening already.
What do you think, Skaff?
I gave that card a 7 out of 10. I thought it was very entertaining. The first Fury was horrible, where they did the team thing. It was horrible. It was almost unwatchable. The matches were super boring. There was one sub the entire time. I mean, I basically just fast forward through a lot of it because it was just terrible. This past one, though, very entertaining. There were so many fun matches. I enjoyed Kevin Holland's match. I'll tell you the match that I really liked.
Ooh, I'm ready.
Clay Guida, dude.
That's what I was going to say.
I absolutely loved Clay Guida's match, man. Clay looked amazing. Him and Joe Selecki. Joe Selecki is a UFC fighter. He had a great performance at the trials. He tapped our boy Caleb McAllister, and he tapped a couple of other guys. But Joe Selecki's a bad grappler, man. He is so slick with it. And but him and Clay Guida were kind of my two like performance of the night guys. But Clay Guida, man, dude, Clay, there's been times I've doubted you. My bad, dude. You're slick. He's good, man.
Yeah, I thought he had a great match. I thought Nicky Rod looked great.
Oh yeah.
Who was the other guy that I thought did so well? Oh, Joaquin Silva when he beat Neil Magny. He blew right through Neil Magny.
It was a guillotine, right? It was a guillotine finish.
Yeah. And then check Alex Caceres.
Bruce Leroy.
Yeah, Bruce Leroy. He got the sub too pretty quick. I think he got all the way to the back for his, right? So yeah, there was a couple of matches that were pretty fun to watch. I like the idea. I like seeing the UFC guys get down there and do their jiu-jitsu. I really like that. I like that we're bringing MMA versus BJJ into a new discussion. But man, the top two matches were total stinkers, man. Like, obviously, we talked about the Craig Jones match against Sean Brady, but the Danielle Kelly versus Carla Esparza match was a stinker for a different reason. So, like, Danielle Kelly's not allowed to do leg locks. Okay, no problem. But Carla Esparza is allowed to slam from the guard. I don't know, dude. I just thought that was an ultra lame combination of rules. Like, That's ridiculous. Like if you can pick me up and slam me so hard that you make a knot come up on my forehead and split your own face open. Okay. And look, and by the way, I'm for slamming. Let's leave it in the rule set. But we can't say slams that hard are legal and then heel hooks are illegal. To me, that's just total madness. That doesn't make no sense at all. And I think that the whole thing where people are scared of heel hooks and they're going to cause too much damage, I've had enough of that narrative. That's just a stupid, it's a misinformed, ignorant narrative if you still think that. Like, can you damage yourself? Yes, of course. But Kimuras are still legal. You know what I mean? Like, it's legal for me to send you into a seizure with a choke. Come on, man. Like, just get informed. Stop with the heel hooks are too dangerous to compete with thing. I think that's just a silly narrative at this point.
Can we all agree, please? And I've thought this for a long time. Chase Hooper isn't that, like, he's all right at jiu-jitsu, but he is not some special prodigy that, has been kind of touted by the UFC as like, man, this kid's jiu-jitsu, it's just next. Like, no, it's not. Like, he's all right. He's a good brown belt, but he is, or a black, whatever. He's not even a good black belt. He's not a good black belt. I'm saying it.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's an interesting take, especially when you think about like how he wins his fights then, because he's definitely not a good striker.
Oh, no.
I mean, he gets hit more than anybody else in his fights. So
yeah,
that's just an interesting concept right there. How's he winning? How's he still in the UFC? What's he doing?
I think that's a testament to the level of grappling within the UFC on the whole. A guy like Chase Hooper, is he a good grappler? Oh, yeah, for sure he's a good grappler. Is he a elite grappler? No. He might be a great grappler, especially when strikes are involved. He might be a great grappler.
He's not a great grappler, bro.
Well, I'm saying when strikes are involved.
Even when strikes are involved. He gets hit more than anybody, even on the ground. We can agree that changes the outcome and who's good. We can agree that totally changes who we think of as good and not good. Like, you're scared of different guys if they can hit you than you are if they can't hit you. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, 100%.
So if we're talking about we're allowed to hit each other, Chase Hooper is a much, much scarier person. He's got a track record of being scary in that scenario. Maybe not frightening like, I'm scared to fight this guy, but it'd be frightening when you wake up and your girlfriend just watched you get choked out by this skinny little pale kid. That's more terrifying than getting punched.
The only way to lose to Chase Hooper is to punch yourself out on his face.
Dude, yeah. Brandon, I got to disagree with you. I got to disagree with your take on Chase Hooper. I just think Chase Hooper's not good. I mean, when I watch his fights, I mean, there's nothing about the kid and there's nothing about the kid that excites me about his MMA future, or I don't know. I just don't think he's very good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're looking at a future champion by any stretch, but he does have an interesting ability to stick to the opponent. Like he stays committed to his grappling. He knows where his bread is buttered. You know what I mean?
I'd like to hear from you guys on who you would like to see in some of the upcoming UFC grappling cards. Like, if we're seeing UFC fighters make their way into grappling, who would you guys like to see?
Well, Kemoy, first, I want to hear, like, what do you think about Chase Hooper?
He haven't really caught my attention. He's not really too impressive to me. He's just like one of those undercard guys. So,
okay,
nothing special to me.
Worth the point. Who do y'all want to see on these
gave
UFC
him a point because he looks good. That's all that is.
Who do I want to see? I mean, dude, obviously Khabib's the dude. I mean, we've never seen Khabib in a submission only rule set. I mean, dude, give me Khabib in a submission only rule set. But if he's truly done with any grappling or anything like that, if we're talking about active guys, I mean, Tony Ferguson would be a blast to see out there.
Yeah,
dude, Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson's probably the guy that I'd want to see most.
I would love to see a Henry Cejudo out there grappling.
Brandon.
Man, I mean, mine's pretty obvious. I want to see Ryan Hall back on the grappling scene, like just straight grappling. And I would love to see Ryan Hall versus Kron Gracie in a straight grappling match, or Ryan Hall versus Gary Tonin and CJJ or straight grapple. I think that would be amazing. So I want to know, has his grappling advanced that much? Has his jiu-jitsu advanced that much past the modern jiu-jitsu scene? Or is it just like we were just saying, even Chase Hooper can look like he's a great grappler amongst the current MMA meta? You know what I mean? So for me, I think it's that Ryan's grappling is that much superior to most everybody else that grapples. But we won't know until we see him back on the scene.
Ryan's last couple of performances have left me not as interested. I don't know. The last
one.
two.
What are you talking about?
I thought the last one was okay. It was much better than obviously where he got knocked out by Oltaporia or whatever.
Yeah, he put that turd down before that.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Look, I'm interested. Anytime Ryan's fighting, I'm gonna watch. But if you're giving me one UFC athlete, I think there's a couple of guys that.
But current roster though, you got to give me something that's on the current roster. Y'all both gave me people that are retired.
I've got a couple names for you.
Oh, Tony's not retired, bro.
Oh yeah, you did say Tony's about retired. He may not be officially retired, but when's the last time you saw him? What were his results the last couple of fights? And what have you heard about's coming up in the future for him?
Shoot, give me the dude then that tapped out Jacare and just tapped out Eric Anders. Like that guy.
What's that guy's name?
Is disgusting.
The guy that just beat Eric.
I would love to see him versus a world-class jiu-jitsu guy. Just like, how good is this kid?
Yeah, okay.
That guy is
Charles Oliveira. Bro, Charles Oliveira.
Yeah.
He's the number one submission artist.
Yeah, but it's funny. I just feel like we see Charles get to do it in MMA too. Just like we've seen it all the time. It's like, just fight MMA. I don't actually care about seeing Charles because it's like, I know when he fights, it's like we're going to see he's the sub king of UFC history. He's the greatest submission artist.
Charles Oliveira versus Ryan Hall. Who's number one?
Charles Oliveira versus Brian Ortega.
Oh, Brian Ortega.
Yeah.
Brian is known for jiu-jitsu. I know a lot of guys that train with him, and they say he got some nasty jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, he's sick, man. Brian's sick.
Remember that guillotine he hit on Cub Swanson when he adjusted that guillotine in midair? That's one of the most amazing submissions I've ever seen.
Hey, you know who's super slick too?
Oh yeah, Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell.
Paul Craig.
With Bryce.
Paul Craig.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Dude, he looks real good too.
Yeah, dude, he's been winning he pulled guard in his last fight. Like Paul Craig's pretty nasty.
And won.
Yeah, Paul Craig's pretty nasty.
Hey, Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell.
Okay,
you, that kid's phenomenal. I've rolled with him, and he is outstanding.
Okay, Bryce Mitchell versus Chase Hooper.
Oh, Bryce will eat him alive.
Destroy him, right? Yeah.
Yeah, not even close.
Okay.
I'd like to see Nate Diaz in a grappling match.
I'd like that. I love Nate's jiu-jitsu.
I got one for you guys. I would like to see the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, out there.
What?
I would love to see that, man. It might not be the most entertaining, but I feel like he would do something to make us laugh anyway.
Yeah, that's true. He would make it a reason to watch, but it wouldn't be for grappling for sure.
Yeah, dude, that's hilarious.
Dude, Black Beast versus Craig Jones. Do you think Craig can submit him?
No leg locks.
Rule set.
Because
with no leg locks.
Yeah, I think he'd be able to take his back.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Beast might just stand up and shake him off of there. He just don't even believe.
Brianna St. Marie versus Mackenzie Dern.
Ooh, Mackenzie will beat her in a straight jiu-jitsu match.
No way.
Come on, kid.
I think
one of the best female grapplers of all time.
Yeah, but that was
straight grappling.
Dude, female jiu-jitsu has evolved so much since Mackenzie last competed in it. I just think I feel like the women. I mean, we see what's happening to Gabby Garcia. Like the games it used to just be like Gabby, Mackenzie, and like 2 or 3 others.
No, that's a fair point.
Yeah, the female game's on fire right now. There's some bad chicks out there.
Yeah, Fionn Davis.
Yeah, dude. Dude, not even black belts, just these up and comers, dude. Talk about what's her name? The girl from Black Hole Jiu-Jitsu that won CJJ. That chick is sick.
Fatima Klein.
Yeah, Fatima's disgusting too. So
What
there's
about
some.
old Gunnar Nelson?
Man, I ain't seen much from him though. I don't even. Is he still on the roster?
I want to say he is.
He's a
I think
slick
he is.
jiu-jitsu player. He's slick. He's a notch. He's for sure a notch better than most guys in the UFC when it comes to their jiu-jitsu. But I don't know that he's on that elite level outside of the octagon.
Is Ryan Hall a top 10 grappler at 145 in the world right now?
In like who's number one rankings?
And just like
ADCC,
pure
straight
grappling, straight
Yeah, I
like
think so.
ADCC.
I think even more so than I think he's top 5, maybe even top 3. I think he's that good.
What about
Where
you,
does-
Kemoy?
Yeah, he's up there. Not too many guys really submitting people like that back to back in MMA. So I think his grappling is really up there.
Where does Aljamain Sterling fall in the grappling of the
Ooh,
UFC?
I actually thought about Aljamain Sterling. He's slick.
I like to watch Aljo. He's fun to watch. You know, his match with Piotr Jan aside, the competitive spirit of that aside, I do think
Ooh.
Aljo's one of the most fun guys to watch.
Here's the match I'd love to see: Rotolo versus Islam Makhachev.
Oh,
Let's make it happen. Islam
It'd have to be Cade versus Islam
okay.
because Cade's the one that comes down a weight class usually.
Yeah, I
He's
mean
a
they
little bit
both
smaller.
155. Yeah, 155, 170. They'll do the match at 170. But
Yeah.
Islam, dude, Islam.
He
Or let's
might,
even get
he might be
Chimaev,
the best
dude.
grappler
What
in
about
the UFC.
Chimaev? Let's just get Chimaev.
Oh, he'd be the most fun because he would get his mouth running.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to grab the mic, man. That's so many people don't. This is a professional sport. It's entertainment. Like you got to be able to grab the mic, and if you're not going to grab it, then you got to have somebody that'll grab it for you and say what to cut the promo, you know. But so many of these guys don't get that. I felt like Kemoy understood that during the PGF season. Like he came in, he cut his promos, he had his character that he wanted to be for the week, and he did his thing, you know, and he stayed consistent with it all week, even though he started getting friendly at the end of the week. he come in with that hard face on. By the end of the week, he was all buddy and hugging.
You're right,
Yeah.
though. It is important to, like you said, the show business, man. Like you can really go to the top of the charts just by the mic. No,
Yes.
like people won't even care about your skills. People would just
Hey,
want to
Paul.
hear you. Right.
All right.
I mean, my favorite thing about Conor McGregor is not watching him fight. It's I love to watch a fight, but it's the lead up to the fight. And who knows the chaos that might come at the end. That's the best thing about Conor McGregor.
Yes.
Before we move on from the UFC grapplers, I'll just throw up a couple of these in the comments. We got Thug Rose,
Oh, I'd love to watch that.
BJ Penn,
No.
Anthony Pettis.
BJ, I think the game's past BJ, unfortunately. He's probably my all-time favorite fighter, but I don't think he can make it happen. Anthony Pettis, he wouldn't cut it at the high levels. Although he's had some good looks with his jiu-jitsu in the UFC. I mean, he had that slick arm lock on Ben Henderson to win the title. Didn't he? He triangled. Did he triangle Cowboy? He did.
Yeah.
He triangled Cowboy Cerrone. And then Cowboy, you know, people were kind of crapping on not crapping on, but not really giving him much of a chance against Craig. It's like, man, Cowboy got a lot of subs in the UFC and the WEC. I mean, there's not a lot of people got 2 triangle chokes in the UFC. Donald Cerrone got 2 triangle chokes in the UFC. You know, Charles Oliveira got a couple. Anderson Silva had a couple, but not many people hit 2 triangles. Nate Diaz hit 2. But anyway.
I don't really think it's that hard to sub these UFC guys. A lot of these MMA fighters don't really put that much of a focus in jiu-jitsu like they should.
Definitely. All right, guys, we got PGF season 3 coming up. Literally next week. Let's talk. Who do you guys think is going to win? Do you think it's going to be like some blowouts? Is it going to be close? Who's going to be the toughest guy to score on? Let's just talk PGF. Skaff, break it down for us right quick.
I mean, you got 24 athletes. I am just as I think I'm most interested in the draft to see who ends up where. I mean, who's going to be the first round picks? Who's going to be the guys that are in the reserve? Who's going to be the guys that are, disrespected because they got picked in the 4th round and they're a black belt maybe? Like, who knows, man? Who knows what these coaches are thinking? Who knows who's done their homework? Do some guys just pick guys because of their rank? Or, is a guy like Kevin Buring going to find himself, maybe in the 2nd round, but he's a blue belt. I'm fascinated by that draft. We all know Elijah's going first, unless, Elijah's the 1st round pick. He's the established name. He's the best guy, in my opinion, when I look at that division. He's the number 1 guy, but I think there's a lot of guys in there that are, I should say that Elijah's matches just aren't as interesting. I love Elijah's story as the bad guy and as the established guy, but to me, there's about 5, 6, 7 guys that I'm more interested in watching this season.
So somebody come in. Who is the guy? If someone's going to beat Elijah, who's that going to be this season?
I think there's a couple of guys that can beat Elijah. I don't know if there's anybody that will beat Elijah, but some guys that I could see putting him down, or at least taking him to a draw. I think Giovanni is capable of that. I think Caleb is capable of that just because of the style matchup, as long as Caleb doesn't get caught too early. If he can stay alive to the 4-minute mark, something like that, then maybe he's got a shot at Elijah. It's not a long list, man. It's not a long list of guys that can catch him.
What do we think about Dane Leake?
I think Dane has the best shot at it. And I think that because of the style of game that Dane plays, I think if he's still there, I think if anybody's still there at the 4-minute mark and they're still pushing hard, then I think that's if they're dangerous and they can finish quick, that's possible. But man, it's just so hard. Elijah puts dudes away quick and he puts them away definitively. So, I mean, he's the champ for a reason.
Kemoy, you're one of the guys that can answer this question best because you were in season 2, and that was the first time where we put all of the matches inside 1 week. So you guys did tons of matches. What, in your opinion, was like the toughest thing about that week? What are maybe some of the things that some of these guys are about to come into this season 3 and not be prepared for? Talk a little bit about your experience just at season 2 of the PGF.
I think a lot of things that probably can go over a lot of people's head is the point system. It's gonna be it can be discouraging. You were 2 days in and you only have 0 points. Everybody else have points. You might feel like, damn, like this looks bad. Like I need to get some points on the board. I need to win. So I think that's something that's a lot of people don't talk about, but I think everybody go through it. Everybody think about it. Everybody keep track of the points. Everybody feel discouraged when they all the way at the bottom, when they feel like they should have been higher. Maybe it's not just you not good at what you're doing. Maybe you just have bad matchups. Maybe you have 5 draws in a row and you got 0 points on the board. So I think there's a lot of mental that goes into it. You gotta take care of your body. It's hard, man. Is it gonna be the same thing again? 3 to 4 matches a day?
3 matches a day. So Monday through Thursday, 4 days in a row, they got 3 matches. And then this time the tournament is at the end of the week. So no week off, no time off.
They didn't even get that Tuesday break?
Nope.
Oh.
They get a Friday break day before the tournament.
Okay. Yeah, so that makes it even worse. So you having 3 matches a day, you got to be healthy for every match. You going hard, giving you 100%. Yeah, so I think that's one major thing a lot of people touched on is just staying healthy throughout the whole season. I can't tell of any kind of strategy you could use. The best thing you have is you get to see every opponent grapple in front of you. So you kind of get to see how everybody grapples. You have an idea what they're good at, what they're not good at. So yeah, just staying healthy and just mentally strong to push throughout the whole season.
You talked a little bit about those points being like the most interesting aspect to you. Did you find yourself later in the week, a couple days in, hunting for specific submissions because of the point aspect?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think I was at a point where I think it was me and Kevin. I think we was tied. We was down to like the last day, and we was probably tied. One of us was gonna make it to the finale, and one of us wasn't. So I was stressing. I knew I needed a kill. I needed a choke so I could get that one extra point that's just gonna push me right over into the top 8. So yeah. One thing that's interesting about the PGF is based on how you finish your opponent, that's gonna determine the amount of points you have. There's lots of guys that's specifically good at breaks, and then there's guys that's mainly good at chokes. So you have to come in there well-rounded, ready with all sort of weapons to really make it far.
Brandon, what are you most excited about for this season?
The draft, man. I'm most excited about the draft. So it's never been done before in jiu-jitsu. Like, if it has, I've never heard of it. I'm pretty plugged in. I'm pretty clued in to the scene for a long time. So I've never heard of anything like this. I think that it's going to add an element of fun and fan participation, being involved in it with that and with the fantasy and with the combine. And then, man, getting to see these guys back to back live every night. But I guess the thing that I'm the most excited for is internally we're going to have fans here. So it's going to be awesome just having people out here, like having the house packed out every night, cheering, screaming for their people, oohing and ahhing when a sub goes off. I mean, I think that that's going to change the energy of the matches completely.
I'd like to hear from you guys. Brandon and Skaff, you guys watch more jiu-jitsu than anyone I know. And then Kemoy, you're an active competitor on the scene. So I'd like to hear from all of you guys. Where does the PGF fall in all of the different rule sets that we have in jiu-jitsu? Like, is it one of your favorites? Is it one of the toughest? Like, how fun is it to compete from your standpoint, Kemoy? Just talk a little bit about the PGF versus all these other jiu-jitsu competitions.
I mean, obviously I'm biased, but to me, it's the most fun. You know, it's the only promotion where there's going to be some dunks. Like you come out with that Fury grappling card. We don't really know how that's going to go. These are matchups that are made to be even for the most part. Like, who's going to win this one? We don't know. That's not how we always do it. We got some bangers at the top, and then we bring people in specifically and tell them, listen, man, you're here to get dunked on. And if you win one match, the crowd's going to go nuts and fall in love with you. And those end up being some of the people that the fans love the most because they don't quit and they just keep pushing, or they got a great attitude or a great style and they bring it every time, win, lose, or draw, And so you can get invested in a story with the PGF where you can't really do that with, ADCC trials. Is it a tougher tournament? Man, yeah, it's a tougher tournament. This last one was, at least. It's tough in its own way. It's a one-day shot, So I just think the PGF offers several different things that are totally unique to the PGF, like that we don't see in any other way in any other promotion. So better or worse, that's a subjective choice. But what I can say is that nobody does it like the PGF.
Skaff?
I obviously love the rule set. Is it my favorite? The thing I love about the PGF is that it does reward chokes over breaks. And I don't know, I'm a big fan of that. I think it makes it interesting. I think of, like, as a competitor, if I was competing in the PGF, it just adds a bunch of extra little caveats to the competition, for fans to follow along and for the athletes to think about. You got the extra point, so you're pushing to get that submission in the first minute, which is making the matches more exciting. Everybody is just so many things to keep track of. You've got a fantasy league. You've got, this year we've got a draft. You've got a combine. I think it's a really special format. I think of, like, just pure grappling. Submission only is always going to be, I think, the top of what kind of dictate who's the best grappler. I mean, when there's a submission, there is a very definitive answer of who the best grappler is. So maybe having 6 minutes in a draw sometimes will leave, but in all honesty, I can just, there have been very few draws in PGF. I mean, the submission rate has always been incredibly high and higher than most shows. And that's what I'm always judging shows on. It's like I said with the Fury grappling, you know, when they did the team event, it was terrible because there was only one submission. It was horrible. I mean, we want to see submissions, and the PGF delivers submissions.
Kemoy?
Yeah, I love the PGF, man. From the production, the interviews, give guys a chance to really show who they are, build their character, and just the whole format of having 3 matches a day. That's some warrior stuff right there. Like, not a lot of people can have 3 matches for 4 to 5 days straight and still perform. So it's real good. I got one question though. You guys still doing the team bonus for whatever color team? Okay. Last season
we got 4 teams this time. We only had 2 last time, and this season you won't play your own teammates this time.
Oh, so there's some matches that we just won't see. There's some
Yeah, so teammates won't play each other this time.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the thing I'm most excited, or that I love about the PGF the most compared to the other ones, is in any given rule set, one guy could win. Like you mentioned that in the right rule set, Nicky Rod could beat Gordon, and that's probably accurate. And I think with a PGF, it kind of like, we have a couple different rule sets. We have EBI OTs in the final tournament. We got a full no time limit submission only match in the final. We have 6-minute regulation matches where you kind of build points through the season. And so it kind of creates this atmosphere where over time, the best grappler will reveal himself. You know, like you could have an upset on any given night where this really good grappler loses to someone that's not quite as good as him. But over the course of the season and over the course of the playoffs and then the sub-only no time limit, I mean, it usually turns out where the best grappler wins, just like through accumulating points and with the different rule sets and stuff like that. And with it being drawn out over time, you start to see where like the upset matches don't really matter over time because like you still got to accumulate points and you still got to do the thing over the course of time. So that's my favorite part. I think it's you see this like with the NFL where there's many kind of ways to win in one match, and then the playoffs they have more overtimes. Like you can't even go to multiple overtimes in the regular season, and there's like different aspects of the season and preseason and postseason. And I love that the PGF is trying to give that to the jiu-jitsu community, because like there's not a union thing for grappling. You know, you see it in wrestling. There's a wrestling season, and so I would love to see something like that for the PGF to like expand to where we are just one little region of the Professional Grappling Federation where there's north, south, east, west.
Yeah, different conferences. Like this is the South is the SEC of the PGF. That's ultimately the idea, right? Is I want to have 4 conferences. So we'll have the Northwest Conference and the Northeast, the Southwest, and the Southeast. So just split the country into 4s right there. So ultimately, I think that's where we're going to end up going. But I don't know what the future holds for the PGF right now. I'm going to take a break after this season 3, and you know how I do it, man. I won't be able to sit still for very long, but I definitely want to take a step back from it and have a look at it after season 3 and see what the direction is going to be. Like, do we start to take it bigger? Do we bring it down? Get a couple of smaller shows? How do we take this qualifier idea and expand it? Because I feel like we had tremendous success with the qualifier idea. So I want to explore some of these one-off weekend kind of shows as well. So we'll see. The nice thing about the PGF is that I'm in charge and I can do whatever I want to do. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow the thing that interests me and it makes me want to work hard. Because you'll only give your number one effort on something that you want to do. Like, you know, if Kemoy gives me a task and he's like, hey, Brianna, I need you to have this done by Friday. I'm going to do great work. I'm going to finish it for him. I'm going to deliver it to him by Friday. But if it's not something I was excited about, he's just going to get a better job than he expected. But he may not get my stay up all night and obsess about this thing passion.
Mm.
But if it's something that I'm fired up about, I can outwork everybody alive. So I try to just keep my focus pointed at the things that excite me the most, and then I either outsource or just punt everything else. So we'll see. What does the PGF become? What's the direction of it? I don't know yet, but it ain't over. Hey, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you one thing though, Keelan. I sure do like a nice metal can filled with water. Luckily, Liquid Death provides such. Liquid Death.
The official water of the PGF.
Uh.
All right, so we got one more. We got one more thing.
Look at Kemoy. I got him.
We got one more thing on the agenda to talk about before we let you guys go. Charles Olivera, the best grappler in the UFC. He's got a fight coming up, but we don't. I mean, who's his opponent? Who's the opponent? We limited it to, I think, Justin Gaichi, and then Conor McGregor's kind of
Yeah.
slipping in there.
No, he's not slipping in there. That's who Olivera wants. He wants to fight Conor, and Conor wants to fight him. Now, it's not always up to the athlete in the UFC. Dana's going to make that final call. But when you're the champion, you got a lot of weight. And look, you're the champion. You're the number one star. When the champion and the number one star want the same thing, you know what I mean? I feel like that very well could happen. Maybe it won't even be a title fight. Maybe they'll do a catch weight, just kind of super fight. I think that would be amazing. I would love to see it.
Skaff, do you think it would be disrespectful to Justin Gaichi for Conor to slip in there?
No, not at all.
What would Justin do if he was? He would take the money fight too.
Dude, no, it's the Conor fight. I mean, it's always gonna be the Conor fight, and I mean, there's an argument to me that shouldn't even be Justin; it should be Islam. Like, there's Justin is clear.
That's
like, he is not. Justin is clearly not. I mean, it's not like Tony Ferguson where, you know, he had a 12-fight win streak and was like, what does this guy got to do to get a title shot? It's like, dude, you had your title shot. You lost to Khabib, and you had a war with Michael Chandler. It was one of the best fights of this past year. But at the same time, like, I just haven't seen, like, you're not just this definitive guy that has to fight for the title. Conor McGregor is way more interesting. He's the guy. He's the guy everybody wants to see fight, and I want to see him fight.
If you want your champion to get paid, then let him fight Conor. You love your champion, give him what he wants. Give him the red panty night.
And if Conor happens to win, it's the best thing that's ever happened to the UFC.
Agreed.
So that's the fight.
Kemoy, do you find it a little disrespectful, or do you not have a problem with Conor jumping in there?
Me personally, I don't have a problem with Conor jumping in there because I'm a spectator. I want to see what's the most entertaining from the build-up. And just like I just said, if Conor wins, that's going to be a big thing right there. We get Conor back on top. We won't talk shit no more, saying he haven't won a single fight. So I think it's good for business, put it that way.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about a Conor McGregor versus Justin Gaichi fight to determine?
Oh, you can't give Conor to Justin Gaichi. That'll kill Conor's career.
Do you think Conor would lose?
Yeah. Well, I think he would lose violently.
Dude, see, I think Conor would sleep Justin in the first round.
You always drink before we do these shows? Or?
Now,
Justin gets hit just as much as Chase Hooper. Justin gets hit
Yeah.
so much. Conor sleeps, guys.
Are you drunk?
I kind of agree with Keelan here.
God.
I think Justin Gaichi, while he's he's good, but now I'm serious. I think Conor's got a great shot. Like, that's a great matchup for Conor. Conor came into this last Poirier fight. He was hurt already. Like you can't deny that his ankle and it was messed up. And so it breaks in the middle of the fight, but honestly, his two losses to Poirier, he was losing, but it wasn't like
leading into
both those fights. Both those fights weren't like, I didn't watch Conor and go, man, Conor's terrible. I was like, man, Conor had some really good moments in both those fights. And I think he's more than capable, if he gets a strong camp, of taking out Justin Gaichi.
Man, I think Justin I think he ends the legend of Conor McGregor.
Mm.
Just like what just happened with Tyron Woodley. Like Tyron's legacy died on the mat with his consciousness that night. And I think if you put Justin Gaichi in there with Conor, look, maybe Conor can win it, and maybe it doesn't end in a violent finish. But how else do you see Justin winning it?
No, he doesn't win unless he.
It's
hurts
violence no matter what, and Conor on the receiving end of it. Now, Conor, say he survives that and comes up the winner on the other side. That's good for Conor. That's good for his legend. But it could go really, really south for Conor.
I just want to.
He's risking everything taking that fight.
I just want to hear one fight where Justin Gaethje didn't get just totally hit in his face 100 times.
I hear you. Khabib, because he beat him so bad on the ground. He so outclassed him so bad Khabib didn't even have to hit him.
All right, you guys got anything else you want to talk about in the grappling scene?
Did we say liquid death is the best?
I think you mentioned that.
Okay.
So it's actually a close game today. I kind of stopped giving points there for a minute. I was too involved in the conversation. And it ended in a 3-way tie today.
Dang. That means the champ keeps the throne.
This is the first time this has happened on Around the Mat. So I guess you all can consider yourself winners today.
No, well, we can all consider ourselves. Nobody's the winner, but one of us came in as the champ and one of us is leaving as the champ. That's all I'm saying. I defended my belt. Nobody was able to take it from me today. So good job, guys. There's nothing wrong with being really smart and really good, but just not as smart and not as good as me. There's nothing wrong with
that. You guys got anything you want to plug? Tell the people before we leave.
And just watch the PGF next week.
Next week, starting January 9th, 6 p.m. That's the combine. Matches every night, Monday through Thursday, 6 p.m. Pay-per-view on Saturday, ticketed event on Saturday.
Kamoy, got anything for the people?
Follow me on Instagram at RatedR10P. If you're ever in Austin, hit me up. Come see me. Let's get it.
All right. Thank you, guys.